Arsenal nil, Liverpool nil, a stalemate at the Emirates Stadium, a draw. Look, it's a disappointing result. For me, a disappointing second half. This is a post-match instant reaction. And yeah, look, there's a lot to talk about because I've got some thoughts and I've got some feelings. This is the real Arsenal deal. Welcome back to the Real Arsenal Deal podcast. Rab here, as always, your host. How is everyone today, wherever you are in the world? Thank you, as always, for tuning in. I am recording this just a mere few minutes after the final whistle at the Emirates. A very wet and rainy night, from what I understand, in London, and you saw the conditions in the first half in particular were very wet and heavy. Look, the ball was moving around quite well considering, but you definitely saw the impact it had on the game and on the surface. And look, I'm recording this in Melbourne. It's a far cry from London because here it's going to be 42, 43 degrees today. So from what I understand, there's a lot of bushfire warnings and a lot of extreme weather conditions expected across many regions of Australia today. So to my Australian listeners and Australian friends, please be vigilant. Please look after yourselves. And yeah, just a world apart, isn't it? So onto the game itself. Look, I want to talk about a number of things, including selection, including the strategy from Arsenal. Liverpool were quite undermanned as well. We've had some favourable results yesterday. Manchester City drawing against Brighton presented us with an excellent opportunity to go 8 points clear tonight. Even Aston Villa drew as well. So we had an opportunity to really lay a marker and make a statement. And I guess that's my overwhelming feeling right now. I'll get this out of the way, and I can maybe just talk about a few other points. I think there was a tremendous opportunity for Arsenal here to really make a statement. Pretty much everyone's watching this one. As I've been saying in my previous recordings too. I mean, everyone's waiting for Arsenal to stumble. Everyone's waiting for Arsenal to draw or not play well, such as tonight. And the knives are sharpening. In fact, I'm pretty sure the commentary, some of the headlines that are happening right now as I record this is about that. Is about, oh, look, do Arsenal really have the mentality? Do we really want this? Are we up for this? This squad hasn't won anything yet. 3 consecutive second place draw finishes in a row in the Premier League. This stage of Arteta's, the money that's been invested, you're going to hear a lot about that. Actually, you're going to hear a lot about the spending of Arsenal, and it just would have been great just to shut out all of those narratives, just shut them all down by just going out there and putting on an emphatic, resounding display. And if it means we won 1-0 or 2-0 or 3-0 or whatever it was, for me, it was about the 3 points. It was about laying a marker and really putting in a comprehensive performance. And so for all eyes just to sit up and take notice. I mean, they already are. Look, before I sound too dramatic and whatnot, look, we are still in an excellent position. We are 6 points ahead as we were before this match day. So in that extent, it's not catastrophic. It's not the end of the world. It's not any of that. So look, it's I want to put context to this as well. Of course, we haven't ceded ground. We haven't lost the game as well. We haven't been done on a sucker punch or anything. And Liverpool end up with 2 wins out of 2 in the league against us this season. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. And I guess maybe this is an indication of how far we've come, that we draw the match against a big club, against the reigning champions, and we haven't lost ground in the Premier League. We maintained a 6-point gap. A week and a bit ago, it was 2 points, by the way. In this last little period of time, we've actually accumulated an extra 4-point lead on our title rivals. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not the end of the world. It's not catastrophic at all. However, just the feeling that I had that maybe you share, I don't know, but please do let me know if I'm making sense. Please, I want to hear your thoughts. Maybe fellow Arsenal fans are feeling this as well. That it was a flat performance. That second half in particular, I don't use this word very often, but I would say the second half in particular was unacceptable, given Arsenal's standards, given what was potentially on the line, given the 11 that we named and the options we had on the bench, and given how undermanned Liverpool were. So I think we should have won this one. I do. Based on the first half alone, I thought we created a host of chances. And the story of the first half was, how many times did we get in behind? How many times do we cut them open inside from our fullbacks from wide positions? It was cross after cross, cutback after cutback, and a combination of maybe the timing of the pass not being correct, no one on the end of them as well. That has to be said as well. You want your forwards attacking that. Right, it's just too many balls that just drifted across to the other side of the pitch, and even a couple of nearly moments. There was one where Saka, who had Kirkes on absolute toast in that first half. By the way, there was about a 6 to 8 minute spell where he was just incredible, time and again doing as he pleased, getting in behind on the right. And there was one excellent passage of play. He cut it back, and Zubimendi, unfortunately, maybe the pass was just a bit too far behind him, but he seemed to slip. Maybe it was the surface, slippery conditions. I totally understand that. But that was the story of the night. It was a night of nearly moments for Arsenal, almost moments that we were there, but we weren't quite. We just didn't quite have that final ball, that end product to really show for our dominance otherwise. And we went into half time, and look, I was fairly relaxed. I was fairly comfortable. If you're familiar with my channel, and you've probably heard me say this many, many times, that you got to get the first goal at the Emirates. The longer and longer the game goes, the more hope it gives to the opposition, the more they sit back, and the more momentum it gives them. And then you start to see the other things start to escalate. You start to see more time wasting and running down the clock, and all that stuff, which is just it's part and parcel of football, right? So I'm not saying it's right or wrong. We leverage that when we need to. It's just the nature of the game. But the point I'm trying to make is that you've got to capitalize. You've got to take your opportunities when they're there. And say what you will about Liverpool this season, clearly that they're not the same. They're not the same as they once were. I think that's fairly obvious. I'm not stating anything too outlandish there. And there's a lot of disruption at the club. There's a lot of headlines for the wrong reasons. Unfortunately for them, the whole Salah fracture, who's still away at the time. They've had some awful injuries as well, it must be said. So there's a lot of disruption and noise around other clubs. Meanwhile, Arsenal are fairly stable. Yes, I know we're not at full strength either, and we still have the likes of Calafiori out, Mosquera still to come, Havertz working his way back to full fitness. Hincapié as well. I don't know the extent of his injury, but he didn't look in great condition coming off in the second half. But on the balance of all things and the form and momentum that Arsenal are in, the atmosphere at the Emirates, a big night, a big occasion, Arsenal should have won this one. I think the expectations were more so on Arsenal than it was Liverpool. This is an excellent point for them, by the way. From a Liverpool point of view, if you looked at the very same circumstances that I just laid out in front of you, and someone offered you, would you take a point? But if someone said that to you before the match, would you take a draw against this Arsenal team right now? I think every Liverpool fan would be shaking your hand saying, yes, I would absolutely take that. It's an excellent result for them. And I've got to say, maybe you may not like to hear this, but this is just my opinion, my perspective watching all the way here in Melbourne, Australia. That second half, we didn't deserve to win. I thought Liverpool were more likely. Look, I'm saying that I say my honest thoughts, and I understand there's a bit of raw emotion to this as well, being an instant reaction just minutes after the final whistle. But I can't really think of what did Arsenal do really in that second half that troubled Liverpool, that troubled the keeper. I know around the 90th minute, 91st minute, I think we had a header from Jesus that was that wasn't going to trouble Alisson. It was straight to him. And then soon after, it may be the same passage of play, actually. Tonelli, cut inside the box, had a shot. Again, that's not going to trouble Alisson. I mean, he knows those two particularly well, right? They're Brazilian teammates on the international stage. So I think he knows exactly what they're trying to do. He would have seen that many, many times in training. So aside from that, so that's about the 91st minute. From the second half on, was like, what did we really do? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm struggling to think right now. Did we have a shot on target? I don't believe so. I don't believe we had many real, genuine attempts at goal either. It was Liverpool who actually had most of the attacking play. They had most of the possession as well. Whether intentional, strategic or not, I don't know, but it seems that we ceded possession. We sat a bit deeper. We repositioned our midfield. Zubimendi and Rice, I noticed their positions had changed ever so slightly. It was an adjustment. And Liverpool came on the front foot, and they fashioned a couple of openings. I think we were all waiting for the same headlines to repeat themselves when Zubimendi fouled right outside the box, very similar positions for that free kick from Szoboszlai. I think the commentators were probably saying it too. It was the same sort of, circumstances. And he blasted over. Thankfully, from our point of view, he had another free kick soon after, a bit closer, but again, didn't trouble Raya. Went over the crossbar for a goal kick. But look, we just didn't do enough. I don't feel it was there for the taking. Liverpool were there for the taking. So you look at how undermanned they were in terms of their full strength. And I get it. That they're a very rich club, of course. They're the Premier League champions. They spent half a billion euro last season. I'm not trying to extend any sympathy or anything to them, because we've been through our cluster injuries. We've had players undermanned so often. If you listen to my pre-match preview podcast a few days ago, you would have heard me say, and I lamented this as well, that how many times have Arsenal gone into these big matches against Liverpool and the likes of other big matches without our best players? It's happened so often in the last year or two. We've been missing Saka, we've been missing Odegaard. When we lost against Aston Villa a month ago, we didn't have Saliba or Gabriel. There was no sympathy extended for Arsenal. It was all about the same headlines. Here it comes, Arsenal are wobbling again. Are they going to botch it? Are they going to bottle it? All that crap. And it's not at that extreme. It's not. It's clickbait, rage bait style headlines that seem to dominate punditry at the moment. But the point I'm trying to make is that no one really grants any extension of favour towards Arsenal. It's just, people are quite happy to stick the boot in when we falter, when we don't have our best players. But for once, when I read the team sheet this morning and I saw even Ekitike, who I think is a fantastic player, wonderful, wonderful player, excellent signing for Liverpool. He didn't make their matchday squad. I believe a hamstring injury has kept him out of action for Liverpool. So I looked at the team sheet and I looked at their absences from them. I looked at our 11 named. I looked at our bench and I was thinking, wow, this is all set up beautifully. It's all stacked up in our favour. And I haven't felt that way in a long time. I felt like finally, for once, if I'm going to complain and lament about it pre-match, if my preview podcast, I have to be fair and balanced now and say, the roles were reversed. Like, we had that in our favour this time. I want to give that acknowledgement, just so I don't come across as one of those typical biased, one-eyed fans. And we didn't take advantage. Unfortunately, we didn't exploit that. We started the match very, very well. The atmosphere looked sensational. Like, full credit to the club for doing that. As the players came on, the red and white displays in the stands, the light show, it was just fantastic. I felt it all the way here in Melbourne. And if you were lucky enough to be in the Emirates tonight, I hope it was as good as it looked on the TV coverage. We started with some good intensity. I mean, I've already mentioned this, but so many times we were getting a lot of joy in behind their fullbacks. Saka had Kirkes on toast, and then all of a sudden it just dried up. He had a number of opportunities that he was cutting behind. It was about a 6 or 7 minute spell where we were timing again. We were going there, and Saka just looked in the rhythm. He looked in the groove. He looked in the mood. We couldn't quite capitalize. There was just that lacking end product, final ball, that cohesion with teammates. We didn't quite have it, but I felt relaxed, knowing that we're going to keep trying and try again. But unfortunately, we didn't really. We didn't. It just sort of fizzed out a little bit, didn't it? And Liverpool worked their way back in. They had a good spell of about five minutes or so themselves, where we struggled to keep the ball. They had a couple of fashioned a few half chance openings. There was sort of half-hearted appeals for a penalty from them. I think Frimpong, looked like he twisted his ankle in the contact in the box. And there was a bit of argy-bargy, as they say here in Australia, between the two teams that Arsenal played on from that, and it went down the other end. Van Dijk and a number of Liverpool players demonstrating with Arsenal. You saw Declan Rice right there in their face, telling them where to go. So there was a fair bit of spice and needle in this match as well. It came to a head again in the second half. Look, I know I'm jumping around back and forth from first half to second half, but whilst I'm on the topic, I want to as well give my honest opinion. I didn't like that from Martinelli. It's very possible that Arsenal will growing more and more frustrated with Liverpool's time wasting tactics, and you can apply that disclaimer, I guess, to anything. And it's also very possible that Martinelli was facing the ball when Bradley went down and sort of twisted his ankle or knee. I'm not quite sure, and he probably just saw him trying to inch his way back onto the field, to sort of block the throw in and all that. So look, you can apply all those disclaimers that maybe Martinelli didn't know, and the game's heated, they're all amped up, trying to find a winner. I just didn't like it still. An unsavoury look, and he's been stretchered off. Look, it remains to be seen. Is that a bit of gamesmanship? Did you really need the stretcher? Or did they say, hey, stay down and soak up 2 or 3 minutes? Look, I don't know. As I said, I'm just recording this purely post-match, so I'm not aware of any any of that information I don't have, I'm sorry. However, even applying all of that, it's still a poor look, right, to push an injured player off the field. And I just don't like it. And again, I can only guess. I don't have to predict too far what the headlines are going to be around that. And Arsenal are disliked in many regions anyway, and this is more fuel to the fire of that, isn't it? So, coupled with not being able to win the match when the opportunity was there, and a few of those little nasty sort of moments as well. I think I'm kind of sarcastically laughing. I think I can predict the media fallout from here and what's going to be clipped up and all that sort of stuff. So look, I don't participate in that stuff anyway. This is a bit of self-therapy for me, this podcast, this recording. And as I always say, look, just be mindful of the spaces that you consume and then you participate in. There's a lot of cesspool forums around the internet. So if you find yourself having the energy sucked out of you like that, you just question, do you need to be participating in that as well? So look, now that I've got that out of the way, I'll just get back to the overwhelming feeling I have from this game is that Arsenal didn't do enough. Coming into the second half, we have actually had an excellent record in second halves. We start them very, very well. I don't have the statistics with me, but I would imagine we have a very large percentage of our goals being in the opening sort of 6 to 8 minutes of the second half. It was anything but this half. The game just drifted from about the 45-minute mark to about the 60th minute mark. It just drifted. Liverpool were knocking the ball around. They were doing as they pleased. They looked fairly comfortable. We weren't really doing much. It needed some freshening up. I know Hincapié being injured forced us into one change anyway. Lewis Skelly came on. I don't think he had a great few minutes either. I'm not trying to dig out any individuals because I think collectively a number of players were well below their best. I don't think that's being too overly critical. Rice for me was a standout. He's everywhere, isn't he? Like just when you need him to find a key touch, a tackle, a knockout, or apply some pressure or win a ball back, a second duel. He's everywhere. He's wonderful, an absolute incredible footballer, and we're so blessed to have him. But collectively, it wasn't an outstanding, comprehensive performance from Arsenal. Again, I don't want to dig out individuals. I think even someone like Timber, who was consistently excellent, the amount of times he found himself in space on the right-hand side, Odegaard and Saka were causing them all sorts of problems. But the final ball from Timber wasn't quite or the cutback or whatnot. And even Martinelli as well, when he came on, he did everything right. There was a couple of times he turned, got behind a fullback, he was charging forward. But then that final ball, once again, it was the story of the evening. Final ball lacking, I guess, would be my major headline from it. And we had the chances, the opportunities to open them up, and we just didn't quite take them, unfortunately. So the game just drifted in the second half. As I've already mentioned, I don't recall a shot on target until that 90th, 91st minute. And by then, it was too little too late, I felt, unfortunately. And look, we'd played our hand from the bench, credit to Arteta. He went for it. We'd made a number of changes. Firstly, the double change needed to happen. We needed to get Gyökeres and Trossard off. Trossard was a little bit off the boil. He was a bit angry as well, I felt. He was already on a yellow card in the first half. A few minutes after that, there was a ball that was given out for a throw-in, and he really sort of blasted the ref. You don't have to be an expert lip reader to know what he was saying, right? I just thought, you need to calm down, mate. You need to calm down. Don't want to do a silly second yellow and then have the entire dynamic of the game change. Look, we needed the double change. Trossard and Gyökeres off, Martinelli and Jesus on as a pairing. And straight away, Jesus just breathed new life into the game. He was very active, as he always is. He's wanting the ball, getting touches. He's working his way into different spaces. Just wasn't quite enough, though, unfortunately. And look, Arteta played his hand there on 76, 77 minutes. Eza on for Odegaard and Madueke on for Saka. And again, it breathed new life. There was a fresh injection. For the next few minutes, we saw the attacking sense. You saw they wanted to get on the ball. Madueke was doing his thing on the right. He was picking up from where Saka left off in the first half, getting inside behind the fullback and trying to get that cutback, that ball in. Once again, a brilliant passage of play, did everything else right, but the final ball, who's there? Where's your centre forward or an attacking midfielder or a forward or winger just charging in and at the back post to tap that ball in? There's no one, unfortunately, and it fizzled out and came to nothing once again. So then, as the game went on, deep into the 85th, 88th minute, it just looked like it was going to drift away for a draw. We had a couple of chances, as I've already mentioned. I don't want to keep repeating that. But then, yeah, the Bradley incident happened. The game petered out in the final passage of play. We've won a corner, and that breathed again injection into the crowd. And you saw Madueke over the ball. He was like almost half kissing it. He knew, come on, good delivery, a good ball is needed, and he did deliver it well. I felt went to the back post. Timber was there. Gabriel was there. Gabriel rose and just unfortunately got his contact completely wrong. I think it did come off his shoulder. I can't quite recall. I didn't see too many replays on that. And went out for a goal kick. And as it turned out, that was the final moment of the match. The whistle was blown. And it's 0-0. And look, as I said, it's not catastrophic. It's just not what I think we wanted. It's the result suits Liverpool more than us. I mean, they've taken fair play to them. They've taken 4 points from Liverpool. They've taken 4 points from Arsenal this season. We've only taken the one against Liverpool, which is disappointing. In isolation, it's not the end of the world because elsewhere we are capitalizing, we are overturning corresponding fixtures. I've spoken about that a lot, especially in the 5 games prior to this. We overturned results against Villa at home, Brighton at home, Bournemouth away, who we lost away to them last season. We lost both matches, actually. So we will have the chance to reverse that even further. Look, it's just disappointing. What can I really say? It's not the end of the world. It's like, I don't want to be too dramatic or anything, but yeah, look, please do let me know, how are you feeling? It would have been great to win against Liverpool, make a real statement. Going into some cup matches now, I think our next Premier League game is away to Forest the weekend following, about 8 or 9 days' time. So we will have 2 cup matches in between. We have Portsmouth in the FA Cup first, and then the first leg against Chelsea in the EFL Cup. So it would have been great in terms of the Premier League to really just stamp our authority, have that 8-point gap, let everyone dwell on that. Let everyone look at that Premier League table for the next 8 or 9 days and know, wow, Arsenal are 8 points clear now. It's all up to them now. All the pressure the spotlight is on them to respond and try and claw back some of our lead. But at the end of the day, 6 points, it remains as it was prior coming into this match day. Not the end of the world, but having said all that, I'm still left disappointed and wanting more. I think I'm going to leave it there because I don't want to say anything too outlandish or too dramatic that I'm going to regret later. But look, please do let me know, how are you feeling? Reach out wherever you watch the match and your sentiment post-match. I'll read every single word, every comment I receive. Please do let me know. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. I greatly appreciate all my new followers and subscribers lately. It's been fantastic to have you here. Thank you. If you're listening on audio or Apple or Spotify, please follow the show. Leave me a 5-star review. And again, reach out with your feedback. How are you feeling from the game? I would love to hear from you. And look, just thank you again. And it's not the end of the world. Onwards we go. 6 points. It's just make sure we get back to getting the job done against Forest in a week and a half's time. Meanwhile, let's rotate the squad, freshen the squad, get some good results in some cup matches coming up. So I'll be back on to record later on with those topics in mind. But until then, just thank you again, everyone, for watching. Look after yourselves, check in with your loved ones, and come on, Arsenal.